That girl was the most wayward lady on campus. Every weekend, different men came to her room. She was famous for it. Ask anyone from my set. I am very sure her womb is damaged.
Please, I am no longer like that. I promise.
The sun rose gently over Nnamdi Azikiwe University, casting golden rays over the red rooftops and wide campus roads. The air buzzed with laughter, music, and the voices of young men and women chasing their dreams or their pleasures. Among them was Adara Okafor, a girl whose name carried weight in every corner of the school. She wasn't the brightest student in her department, but she was the most noticed. Her beauty was the kind that turned heads and silenced rooms. She had smooth chocolate skin, dimples that appeared when she smiled, and legs that gleamed in the sunlight. Adara knew she was beautiful, and she loved it. Her wardrobe was filled with short skirts, tight tops, glittering dresses, and high heels that clicked confidently on the hostel's tiled floor. Every morning, she would stand before the mirror, adjusting her hair and painting her lips bright red. Her roommate, Chamaka, would usually be sitting on her bed, reading her Bible or preparing her lecture notes. "Chamaka, how do I look?" Adara would ask with a playful wink. Chamaka would sigh and look up from her book. "You look fine, Adara, but don't you think that dress is too short?" Adara would laugh, flipping her braided hair over her shoulder. "My dear, life is short too. Let me live it while I can." Then she'd grab her handbag, spray her perfume, and strut out like a queen who owned the world. Adara's life on campus was loud and colorful. She was at every party, every club event, and every celebration. The DJs knew her name. The boys in the lodge near the female hostel waited eagerly whenever she passed by. She was confident, fun-loving, and wild, living life like tomorrow didn't matter. Her laughter echoed through the night, and her perfume lingered in the air long after she left. She had admirers everywhere. Lecturers who smiled too much, boys who offered rides in sleek cars, and even married men who called her small madam.
To Adaora, it was all harmless fun. She wasn't evil, just lost in the sweetness of youth. But Chiamaka, her roommate, saw through the glamour. She saw the tired eyes when Adora returned late at night. She saw the sadness that flashed across her face whenever she was alone. One night, while Adaora was getting ready to go out again, Chiamaka spoke softly from her bed. "Adaora, have you ever thought about what happens after all this?" Adora paused, adjusting her earrings. "After all what?" "After the parties, the boys, the attention. Have you thought about who you'll be when it all ends?" Adaora chuckled. My sister, you think too much. When I graduate, I'll settle down. I'll change. I'll become serious. For now, let me enjoy my youth." Chiamaka closed her Bible and looked at her friend with pity. But life doesn't always give us time to change later. Sometimes later never comes. The past has a way of chasing people when they least expect it. Adaora smiled, walked over and hugged her. "You are such a preacher. Don't worry, I'll be fine." She blew a kiss in the mirror, grabbed her small glittery purse, and left the room, the sound of her heels echoing in the hallway. Weeks passed, then months. Adaora became a familiar face at off-campus lodges. She would be seen in the company of older men living in flashy cars. Her Instagram was filled with pictures from expensive restaurants, new phones, and weekend trips. People talked about her, some with envy, some with disgust. But Adaora didn't care. She believed she was simply living her best life. Sometimes, after a long night out, she would sit by her hostel window staring into the darkness. For reasons she couldn't explain, she'd feel an emptiness deep inside, a hollow silence that the parties couldn't feel, but she always brushed it aside. "I'll change after school," she told herself again and again. One particular day, near the end of her final year, Adaora fell ill. She stayed in bed for days, weak and pale. Chiamaka cared for her, brought her food and prayed for her. When Adaora finally got better, she said quietly, "Thank you, Chiamaka. You've always been there for me, even when I didn't deserve it." Chiamaka smiled. "That's what friends do. I just wish you'd see what I see. You are beautiful, Adaora, but your beauty should be your pride, not your curse." Adaora looked away. "You don't understand. Sometimes it feels like this is the only way to survive, the only way to be seen." Chiamaka shook her head sadly. Being seen is not the same as being valued. Those words stayed in Adaora's heart, though she never admitted it. When graduation finally came, the air on campus was filled with joy. Students wore their gowns proudly, taking photos and laughing. Adaora smiled in her pictures, her makeup perfect, her smile dazzling. But behind that smile was a quiet relief. She told herself that this was the end of her old life. She would go to a new city, get a job, and start afresh. No one would know about her past. No one would whisper her name in shame. And she packed her things to leave the hostel. Chiamaka hugged her tightly. "Adaora, promise me something." "What?" "Promise me you become the woman I know you can be." Adaora smiled faintly. "I promise." Chiamaka whispered one last thing as they parted ways. "Remember, the past never truly dies, but you can decide how it lives in you." Adaora didn't understand the meaning then, but she would years later, when her past came knocking at the door of her future. The world outside the university gate was nothing like the one Adaora had imagined. No more parties, no more loud music echoing through hostels, no more laughter in the night air. Now there was silence, heavy, cold silence. The struggle after graduation, Adaora moved to Lagos, the city of endless possibilities and countless disappointments. She shared a small apartment with 2 other girls who worked as interns. The rent was high, the noise never stopped, and the smell of traffic filled the air every morning. She sent out job applications daily but got no replies. Her once bright smile began to fade. The phone numbers of her old friends no longer worked. The big men she used to know had stopped calling. The world she built on temporary pleasures had vanished like smoke. She tried to stay strong, but each day felt heavier than the last. She often sat by her window watching people go to work, wondering where her own life had gone. Then one Sunday morning, while flipping through TV channels, she stumbled upon a live church service. A gospel choir was singing "Amazing Grace." Their faces were glowing with peace, a peace Adaora hadn't known in years. She dropped the remote and sat still. For the first time in a long time, she felt something inside her break. Tears filled her eyes as Chiamaka's voice echoed in her mind. "The past will always come back, Adaora, but you can decide how it finds you." Adaora knelt down on her living room floor. For hours, she cried and prayed. Not the quick prayer she used to mutter before exams, but a deep, broken plea from the heart. "God, I don't even know how to start again. I've made mistakes, terrible ones. But if you still have me, please forgive me. Please give me another chance." That night, Adaora slept peacefully for the first time in years. The following weeks marked the beginning of her transformation. She threw away all her old revealing clothes, her club outfits, and flashy makeup. She donated some to charity and burned the rest. She started dressing modestly, soft gowns, simple earrings, flat shoes. She began attending Sunday Mass at a nearby Catholic church. At first, people stared. Her face was familiar from her old days, but she didn't care. She sat at the back pew quietly, hands clasped, eyes closed, and heart open. Eventually, she joined the church choir. Her voice was soft and angelic, and soon she became one of the leading singers. When she sang, people wept. It wasn't just her voice, it was her spirit. She sang like a woman who had wrestled with her past and found peace.
Her choir leader, Sister Benedicta, noticed her dedication and said one day, "Adaora, your voice carries healing. You remind people that God can make broken things beautiful again." That night, Adaora smiled as she looked at her reflection in the mirror. For the first time, she didn't see shame, she saw strength. New beginnings. Months later, Adaora finally got a job at a corporate firm in Victoria Island. It wasn't glamorous, but it was honest work. She was the receptionist, the first face people saw when they entered the building. She arrived early every day, neatly dressed, her ID card hanging proudly on her chest. She greeted everyone with a warm smile, the kind that came from gratitude, not pride. Her boss, Mr. Adebayo, was impressed by her commitment. He said one morning, "Miss Adaora, you remind me that people can truly change. Keep it up." Life was finally steady. Not perfect, but peaceful. Every morning, she prayed before work. Every evening, she returned home tired but content. On weekends, she volunteered at the church, teaching teenage girls about self-worth and dignity. She would tell them softly, "Don't let the world define you by your mistakes. You can always start again, but start early." The girls adored her. They called her Auntie Ada. The encounter. One cool Friday evening, as the office was closing, Adaora packed her bag and stepped out. The street lights flickered on as the sun dipped below the city skyline. She was walking towards the bus stop when a man in a navy blue suit approached her. He was tall, handsome, with calm eyes and a gentle smile. "Excuse me," he said, adjusting his tie slightly. "I've been seeing you around this building for a while. You seem different from everyone else, always smiling, always peaceful." Adaora chuckled shyly. "Oh, I just try to stay happy." "I'm in Mecca, by the way," he said, stretching his hand. "I work in the accounting firm next door." She shook his hand lightly. "I'm Adaora." "Nice to meet you, Adaora. I know this might sound sudden, but could I have your number? Maybe we could grab coffee sometime." She hesitated for a moment, her heart racing, but something about his voice felt honest. "Sure," she said softly, typing her number into his phone. Love's bloom. Their first outing was simple, coffee and laughter. Then came lunch, movie nights and strolls by the beach. Emeka wasn't like the men from her past. He didn't flirt carelessly or make empty promises. He listened, he cared, he asked about her dreams, not her body. Sometimes when they sat watching the waves at the beach, Adaora would find herself smiling without reason. "Why are you smiling?" Emeka would ask. "Because," she'd reply, "I never thought I'd feel this kind of peace again." He held her hand gently and said, "Peace comes to those who stop running from their truth." Those words stayed with her. Months turned into a year, then 2. Their love deepened. They traveled together, once to Abuja, another time to Dubai. He made her laugh and she made him believe in destiny. Adaora met his friends, his colleagues, even his pastor. Everyone loved her humility and warmth. Her past remained a secret she prayed would stay buried. She told herself it was behind her, gone forever. The proposal. On a calm Sunday evening after church service, Emeka took Adaora to a beautiful garden filled with flowers and soft music. He held her hand, looked into her eyes and said softly, "Adaora, 2 years ago, I met a woman who changed my life. You've taught me what patience, faith and love mean. You're my heart, my peace, my joy. Will you marry me?" Tears streamed down her face. Her heart pounded. "Yes, Emeka," she whispered. 1,000 times yes. He slipped a silver ring on her finger as the choir in the garden began to sing. It felt like heaven had written her story. That night, Adaora knelt beside her bed and cried, tears of gratitude. "Thank you, Lord, for showing me mercy, for giving me love I thought I never deserved." To her, Emeka was not just a man. He was proof that change could bring blessings. But fate is a patient hunter, and sometimes the past does not knock, it breaks down the door.
A few weeks after the proposal, Emeka said he wanted to take Adaora to his hometown to meet his parents. Excited and nervous, she prepared her best traditional outfit, a simple, elegant gown with matching hair tie. When they arrived at Emeka's family house in Enugu, everyone welcomed her warmly. His mother hugged her tightly, his father praised her manners, and his sisters couldn't stop admiring her beauty. Everything was perfect until Emeka's older brother, Uche, walked into the sitting room. The moment his eyes met Adaora's, his smile disappeared. His hands trembled as the glass cup he was holding slipped and shattered on the floor. Everyone turned to him surprised. He stared at Adaora for a long time and then asked quietly, "What's your name again?" Confused, she replied softly, "I'm Adaora Okafor." "And which university did you attend?" he pressed. "Nnamdi Azikiwe University," she said, smiling nervously. Uche's face darkened. He let out a bitter laugh. "So it's you, Adaora the campus queen, the same Adaora from Glory Lodge, the one who..." He stopped, but everyone could see the rage on his face. Emeka frowned. "Brother, what are you saying?" Uche pointed at Adaora and shouted, "That girl was the most wayward lady on campus. Everyone knew her. She lived in our lodge. Every weekend, different men came to her room. She was famous for it. Ask anyone from my set." The room fell silent. Adaora froze, her heart pounding. Tears filled her eyes as she tried to speak. "Please, that was years ago. I've changed. I swear I'm not that person anymore." Emeka's mother gasped. His father shook his head slowly. Emeka looked at her in disbelief, pain written all over his face. "Is it true?" he asked, his voice trembling. She knelt down crying. Yes, it's true. But I'm different now. I've found God. Please believe me." But Emeka turned away. "Adaora, I loved you. I planned a future with you. But I can't marry a woman whose past I can't trust." Those words shattered her soul. She begged, but he walked out, followed by his family. That night she left their home weeping bitterly. The pain of losing him was unbearable. The reality of her past shadow crushing her future was too much to bear. For weeks, Adaora fell into deep depression. She stopped going to church, stopped singing, stopped smiling. At one point, she even thought of ending her life. But the memory of Chiamaka's voice stopped her. The past can haunt you, but only if you let it. She chose to live, to rebuild again. A year later, while scrolling through social media, she froze when she saw wedding photos of Emeka and Chiamaka, her former roommates. The caption reads, "When God writes your story, it's always beautiful." Tears streamed down her face. She felt broken, but also wiser. She whispered to herself, "I caused this. My past wasn't erased, but maybe my pain will teach others." From that day, Adaora began speaking to young girls in churches and schools, warning them not to make her mistakes. She became an advocate for change, a living folktale, a lesson wrapped in experience.
Please do not forget to like, subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comment section.